All right, about to go on a run. A little rainy here in Sacramento today at the Davis Arboretum. It's one of my favorite spots to run. Start out with a little bit of this guy here. It's nice and light, nice and easy. Cold, kind of rainy, but it's good to get to working no matter what. Actually, it's starting like to be pour pretty good, down pretty good, but you know, you just lean into these things, you know. Sometimes you're just kind of screwed for a workout. That's just the way it goes sometimes, but get through it whatever way you can. Kind of take it as a challenge, make it more fun. Kind of fun to be in the rain. Did some of my sprints yesterday, and I want to address some of the comments because they're pretty funny. You know, some people were mentioning like that it looked really tight, or they're like, "Oh, that's all you can do. That's all you can open up," or that's. And yes, that's where I'm at. I sacrificed a lot of things for my body to be able to squat 1,080, bench 854, and deadlift 766. And I knew that when I was doing those things. I knew there was going to be some sacrifices to that. And the sacrifice is my body's tight. But my body was tight even before that. Naturally, just kind of tight in general. And kind of always have been since I was a kid. But what I really wanted to address about the comments on the video of me sprinting is people saying I'm unathletic. Well, that I take exception to. Because, I mean, in terms of a pro athlete, I am basically a pro athlete. I've made my millions of dollars. I have multiple homes. I got 6 or 7 cars. I got all kinds of shit. Banked up pretty goddamn good. Multiple businesses and stuff, all from what? From lifting weights. And from powerlifting, mainly. I guess you'd say I'm like a professional powerlifter. And in terms of powerlifting, in the history of powerlifting, I'm the most successful powerlifter ever. So fuck all y'all. You know, I think just because powerlifting might not have the traditional athleticism to it as basketball, it still requires someone to be athletic and coordinated. Look at LeBron James. When LeBron James did a squat in training, everyone talked shit on him. Why? Because he couldn't really squat, could he? His squat was kind of fucked up. And that is the greatest, biggest, most mutated athlete that this planet has ever seen. That guy's an absolute freak. As we used to say in professional wrestling, who'd you ever beat? So these people with these negative comments, you know, I know who you are. I know you're a bunch of fucking losers that never put up 1 point on the scoreboard trying to tear down someone else and feel good about yourself. I get it. I understand. But even when I was a nobody, I was smart enough not to do that. And I think I'm not expecting all the comments to be positive all the time. Look, that's ridiculous. And I do understand people are going to be frustrated and they're going to hate on you. But it's just kind of ugly. It really is. It's uglier than my sprints. See some hills, I'll hit them up a little faster, stuff like that. The other thing I wanted to address is like when people make comments about me being tight or me having an inefficiency with running or something like that. It's an interesting thing because I think that people are making a big mistake. They're trying to compare me to people that sprint. I'm not really I'm not a well-schooled or well-versed sprinter. So I don't compare myself to other people. I don't feel that it's valuable. I think everyone gets into that game here and there naturally, but it's not a great practice. And so if someone says, hey, wow, you're really tight compared to what? Not tight compared to myself. I'm fine for myself. I feel good for myself. I have zero pain. I feel fucking awesome every day. That's how I'm able to do all this stuff. This is a good hill to hit up, so I'll run down, turn around and hit it up. I'll walk a little bit. There's the old water tower. Flip around. Boom. This is the way I'm kind of doing some of my runs more recently. There's a little bit more walks in there, a little bit more gaps in terms of maybe a little bit of a break, and just more explosiveness in there, a little bit more speed stuff. Still low and slow, still some of this. But occasionally, I'll just say I'm going to run from this tree right here to those bushes, and I'll just pick it up. Just some little things like that, get my body used to moving a little faster. I always forget to track anything, but it's kind of nice to see like speeds and times sometimes. It's okay even if you're running for a while and you have some like proficiency with running. It's still okay to stop and walk. If you feel that you lost your breath a bit or you kind of lost your pace, calves are tight, shins are tight, feet don't feel good, like there's no reason why I can't stop and walk for a minute, 15 seconds or so. some of the walking, just to allow for adequate recovery. Good recovery set with walking would be when you can return to nasal breathing. Remember, when we're trying to get our breath, we want to make sure that you're not trying to suck in so much like that. Expand the nostrils. Expand the nostrils and kind of like almost sip the air with your nose rather than, because that kind of closes everything up. And the exhale, to me, learned this from Connor Harris, who's recently on our podcast. The exhale is a little bit of a, it's like a sigh. Not necessarily why you're running. I mean, you can do that when you're running, but more so for the in-between. Now we're going to see if I can kind of naturally do some nasal breathing. It feels good. It feels right. It doesn't feel forced. And that's kind of the key here. We don't want a lot of forced inputs. Got a little bit of a hill here, but it's a little short, so I'll just kind of run it normal. For you bigger guys, one of the best ways you can sprint is to find a grade, find a little bit of a hill. That's even your best option. It's going to slow you down a bunch so you can't produce too much force. And also, like, the way I look at it, your feet can't get too far away from like your midline. That's gonna hurt a lot of the big guys out there. Have fun with the run too, and don't be afraid to kind of move around. Run on some curves, do some cuts, do some moves. So you're playing football or basketball, trying to get open. You can even turn your body and move. You know, I can turn this way, pretend I'm trying to catch a pass. Turn this way, turn this way. A good way to do that is like with a friend, you chuck a ball around a little bit, you run the whole time, and you kind of lose track that you were having this great activity going on the whole time. By the time I do this whole loop, I probably have gotten in maybe 10 or 12 surges. Make for a pretty good workout. If you want to push your conditioning, you get that uncomfortable feeling after the sprint, or after the surge rather, and then as quickly as you can handle, get yourself back into the run or jog, and the jog should be like a recovery jog. If you can't handle that, just go back to walking again. But the more you push this to a certain degree, the easier or the faster you'll get in better shape. But it does kind of depend on your heart rate and stuff like that too. So this has to be kind of easy for you. Another route pretty good, so there's a nice sized hill up here, decent grade, decent like climb, nothing too crazy, but it will feel good because I'll be able to kick some resistance into it. I'll be able to use my strength. My strength is to be able to move around more weight than what my body weight is. When I'm only moving around my body weight, it feels unsafe because the engine is a little faster than what the legs can handle, what the body can handle, and I can literally kind of almost blow myself apart. But on a hill, it will slow me down a little bit. It'll allow me to play more into my game, which is using a little bit more power. Looking at the Garmin, it shows you some of my speed, some of my times. If you really want to get nerdy with this stuff, you're trying to optimize fat burning, you would do like a scrambled egg and cheese version of like a walk sprint, because walking at a nice clip, walking at a pretty good pace while also staying within nasal breathing parameters burns a lot of fat, like literally burns fat as you're doing it. But sprinting, however, burns fat afterwards. So you could walk and sprint, walk and sprint, walk and sprint, and not feel bad about the walking version of it, because the walking is the recovery for the sprints. And remember, with the walking, you do want to be able to return to nasal breathing as quickly as possible. You also could do this entire workout with nasal breathing only, but you're sprinting, you'd be sprinting way slower. Your sprinting would be compromised, most likely, for most people. A decent grade to this hill, so I'm going to walk it back in a minute. I know the answer. I know it's probably Martin. I know he's fast. I know he can jump. I know all these things. But again, he didn't necessarily push a particular sport to maybe the same way that I did. I do understand he's done some bodybuilding and got on stage and looked amazing. Still looks amazing. A friend of mine, and he always will be. Somebody I've always clicked with for whatever reason. But it's interesting, the whole topic of athleticism, because I think if you look a little funky when you sprint, if you look a little funky when you dance, if you look a little funky when you do a layup, now everyone's saying you're unathletic. I remember Jason Khalipa years ago in the CrossFit Games throwing a softball. Now keep in mind, Jason Khalipa won the CrossFit Games. He's a hell of an athlete, and he's a pretty high-level jiu-jitsu player these days. And they had him throw a softball, and everybody was like, it's super funny. It's an interesting topic to try to figure out what athleticism even really means. Change around here. Right. Walk a wee bit. A little bit more frequent hills, so get an opportunity to walk, breathe. All you climate change people out there, if you're breathing it out of the nose, don't want too much emissions. You know, here's an interesting thing about that topic. You know, cows get blamed for farts and burps, but why don't we? So cows don't eat naturally what they're supposed to design to eat, I guess, is grass, right? And they start eating some other stuff that we feed them, and they get gassy. But do we eat stuff sometimes that we're not supposed to eat that makes us gassy? What's the environmental impact of that? I don't have any idea. I'm making shit up over here, but I don't know, just funny things to think about. Your carbon fiber footprint might be through the roof because of the type of foods that you're eating. They don't agree with you. So this is a really nice hill. Really like just crush myself on this hill in particular because it's kind of a low and slow grade. It doesn't really ever get to be that high. It's kind of a long one. My legs are pretty fatigued. I feel some soreness and tightness, and yeah, this should be like kind of the end of the faster running. I guess I could do one or two more after this, but I did my sprints yesterday, so some of that's starting to accumulate. All the ones you see today, especially because it's like wet out here and stuff, they've all been around 80% or so. Nothing too crazy. So we're going back up the hill. Let's not forget the importance of downhill. Some people really want to baby stuff downhill, but I'll be real strong. Get yourself a capacity to even run downhill. God, I feel fat. After this, go home, hold plunge, red light. Then you get a little food in, maybe a little bit of rice, maybe some meat, maybe some potatoes. Depends on what I got hanging around, I forgot. And then we'll lift at my home gym. Probably shoulders, arms, a little bit of lower body. In between most of like the bodybuilding stuff and or powerlifting stuff, I've been implementing some mobility stuff. And that's something I failed to mention today is don't be afraid on your runs and your walks to stop. Stop for a moment. Stop on something. Move around. For me, I tend to get really tight in the groin. Just this stretch, the act of me just kind of going here, hanging here, stretches everything out. I'll even do weird shit like this if I'm walking in like a city and I'm with my family. They'll have a moment, I'll say, hey, give me a second. And they know just to kind of wait for me, and I move around. Because for me, you know, you see all these videos, right, all the time, and people are saying, here's the 3 things you can do. And that's really great that people are producing that content, because how awesome is it that there are some things that you can do about your current situation and make it better. However, most cases, like in my case, me doing like 3 things is not going to be enough. I have to do not only 3 things, but I have to do it consistently, and I have to do it constantly, right? So if I'm trying to, for example, I can't at the moment, if I was warmed up, but I can't put my forearm down to here, right? So me doing this 3 times a week, this stretch, will do 0 for me. However, if I throughout the day start to think about the tightness in here, and I'm not just like stretching, but I'm working on moving around a lot more, and I do this 12 times a day, that I think, and I believe, personally believe, that I could make improvements on that particular movement right there. So that's some of my thought process around some of that. There are so many different ways to run. Just starting out, just turn this thing you're calling a walk. Just lean your body weight forward a bit. And just take the arms, and before you even do anything with the legs, feet, hips, any of that stuff, just move the arms. Okay, maybe a little head over foot. See how my head is going back and forth this way, almost like I'm like a windshield wiper, like I'm dodging punches. Just a little bit there, and now look, I'm already like I'm already bouncing a little bit. Take your hands, totally relax your hands, and turn them this way, and just feel the flicker of your hand moving like you're trying to whip your friend in the nuts with a towel. Remember that move? So you're just here. And then now if you want, you can kind of turn them over and do whatever you want with them, but this is jogging right here. Just got some walking, lean forward a bit, get a little of that swagger, like you just dunked on somebody, a little head over foot. You can even take your arms and rotate them as I'm rotating them. Rotate them in. Remember a while back I was talking about that deadlift? Like boom, deadlift, 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 deadlift. Head over foot, head over foot. Put a little more power into it. Push with the tush, push with the glutes. Now here we go. Boom, make sure the back's not overarched. Now we're jogging. We're going to turn it to running. Have to hop a little bit more. Have to stay on your toes a little bit more. But pretty much as simple as that. Not be any harder than that. One thing I think people don't recognize is how difficult it can be to hop up and down on one foot. So to do what we're doing here, or to do what a boxer might do, when they're kind of in here and they're back and forth on these feet, that's not that bad. Because it's like, it's a split second. But what doesn't feel great is hopping on one foot and kind of staying on one foot. But it could be a great training tool for you to utilize. So here with no heel. Here with no heel. I do it on the right side doesn't want to do it because I've had an ankle injury on that side. So the brain and ankle are like, hey bro, what the fuck? And I can still do it. So when you're running, or even just when you're walking, just try it, like hit it up. It's kind of like that old school icky shuffle, remember that? It's kind of what you're doing. But it's just a really tiny jump. You're just getting yourself ready for impact. There's other drills you could do. You could do some high knees. Make sure the heels never come close to touching the ground. You can go ankle over ankle. You can keep this position, lean forward, start to run a little faster. These are all like simple progressions that you can do. I'm not trying to teach you running technique. I'm merely showing you how simple it can be to get started. Thank you. Appreciate it. All the fans are always out here. These guys. I live in Davis, so I gotta hug a tree every once in a while. See, there was some rain, right? But it's not even here anymore. Hey man, did you get to running yesterday? No. It was raining. Well, that's weird. I went on a run. It was like rain for like a minute, and the rain went away. I didn't go. It was kind of windy. You gotta got to give yourself a better chance than all that shit. You got to give yourself a better shot. Give yourself a chance to win every day. Hey man, did you go to the gym yesterday? No, it was kind of snowing. The roads were weird. You make it. Get in your car. Find a snowplow. Follow that motherfucker to the gym. You know, actually go through the paces. And if you go through the paces and it still sucks and you weren't able to, then you weren't able to, right? I mean, there's going to be situations that are out of your control. But give yourself a chance. Give yourself an opportunity. Oh man, I ran out of my pre-workout, so I'm not fired up. But did you even try to go work out? You probably just didn't even try. Your girlfriend broke up with you, you're bummed out. You're like, yeah, I'm bummed, I'm not gonna go to the gym. But you didn't even try to go to the gym. Go to the gym. And if you are an emotional wreck after set number 1 and you need to leave, well, that's okay. That's totally fine. At least you gave her a shot, right? At least you tried it out. But more than likely, you're gonna run into a friend. Your friend's gonna say, dude, she was a fucking bitch anyway. And you're gonna be on to the next one. And you're gonna be back in the swing of it, back into your routine, right? You know, the tree will sink its roots in and it will grab as much nutrients as it possibly can to live as long as it can. And it gets the water, you know, on the leaves, and then it helps the whole thing grow. And the leaves shed and they end up on the ground, and that helps create new life. Like, I just think all this stuff is just, it's just funny because you blow right past it every day. You don't even think about it. But what's going on right here, the mechanics of what's going on right here is just like completely out of this world. And here in Davis, California, where the students and faculty manage this arboretum area, is really interesting because there must have been decades of research that went on to be able to put these plants here, because you can't just put plants next to each other. Sometimes they'll kill each other. This, by the way, is a Phedra. It says it right there. Yeah, Mount Wine. Phedra. Get a little ephedrine. Let's try it out. I don't know if this is actually really what it looks like, but I remember as a kid, I dabbled in way too much ephedra. That was the name of it. So I actually should look it up more because it's kind of interesting. But back in the day, they made the ephedra stack. It was caffeine, aspirin, and ephedrine. And like I just never even thought about it. I just like went to the gas station and bought some. And me and my friend would chew on these mini thins. And I think it was like there was maybe 6 of them in like a little packet. And you know, like truckers and stuff like that would use it so they stay awake on the road. But my friend and I, we would consume way too many of these things. We probably should have never really taken any of it at all, but it was legal back then. Since that time, they made it illegal, so you don't see it in any supplements like that and stuff like that anymore. Here's another hill, so I'm gonna walk it back and I'll sprint this one. A little different thing here. My arms feel so powerful, strong, and explosive. from all the years of bench pressing, the legs, they're gonna take a while. It'll take a while to have that turnover and that snap and that pop. But I'm gonna have Andy Triana, Jake Benson, Ian Danny, a couple other friends assist me with some of this, because it's definitely something I want to get better at, no doubt. I want to be able to really fly, and who knows, maybe even compete, maybe go do a track meet, go do like I'm probably like, I don't even really know, but I'm probably more designed for something like a 200 or 100. But I think that intensity for where I'm at right now could potentially lead to an injury. So 400 or 800 sounds better. Not thinking of the competition, just thinking of myself. Kind of think like a 200 or 400 probably be a little bit better than 100. But I don't really know. I would love to run a like sub, let's say, I don't even have any idea on what I can do one time around the laps, one time around the track. So I'm just gonna say I would really love to be able to do 90 seconds. Minute and a half. Yeah, I would love to be able to do 90 seconds, under 90 seconds. And some of you will know better than me, but I believe a pretty good time on a 400 is like anything under a minute. Now you're talking kind of more serious business, right? So that would be more of a long-term goal. I have not yet run a sub 7-minute mile. That's something I would like to do. I've run a sub 8-minute mile, but I haven't done a sub 7 yet. And if you remember when I started this journey a while back, I said that I would love to do sub 6-minute mile. But again, that's more of like a long-term play, long-term goal. So lots of cool goals, lots of fun stuff. There's absolutely no reason why you can't switch up your walk. There's no reason why you can't switch up your run. You can walk like this for a while. You can walk like this for a while. You can walk a little extra on it, and you can kind of pick it up. You can skip. You know, try to find some different things, find some different rhythms, move around a little bit, shuffle around a little bit, dodge. Like this stuff to me, it's like, I don't know, it just makes it, it's a distraction. You know, it's like, it's not gonna feel as far if I'm fucking with these different things, or I'm doing some high knees or marches or some prime times, you know. And really try to kick those legs up big the way Dion did. Very good at it. But it's also kind of fun. It's kind of fun when I get across the street here. I'll do a little bit more of that. So Dion, he would intercept the pass. He was high stepping, sometimes on the 40 or 50 yard line. Unbelievable. But he was high stepping. Even this guy holding the ball. It's actually kind of hard to do. Actually feeling my knee a little bit. But that's a good question, right? Like, why do I feel that in my knee? What is that from? Kind of a bit of hip flexor movement. Just finishing her out. This is where people don't want to finish. This is where you feel tired. And you're like, oh, I did pretty good. But this is where you call for one more shot. when he's on a walk or on a run, a lot of times he'll reach up and touch some of these. These are like, I'm not super gifted with jumping, but I think I can reach some of these guys. So it's kind of just a good practice because most of us don't jump that much. So you're gonna get a jump and you're gonna get a good landing too. So that was with the right arm. Now I'll try with the left. Now I'll see if I can do it with both hands. There we go. And then you could do it, if you wanted to, you can do 1 foot. Really doesn't matter. Like, I don't think, sometimes with stuff like this, like, I think we have a tendency to think like we want to go super high. And the same thing happens with like a box jump, but it doesn't need to be high. It's like more like the act of just doing it. Sometimes when I'm running through here, when it's not wet, I'll jump on that bench over there. I'll jump back down so I get some of the residuals of that. I'll jump up, touch some of these things. Sometimes I'll jump over something. It kind of depends on how I feel. When I'm in Bodega Bay and I'm running on the beach, that's a really great opportunity to do stuff like that, because if I fall, it's just like I just landed in the sand. If I fall here, it's probably gonna hurt a little bit more. Anyway, I'm gonna finish out with this last run. Yeah. Ooh. Building up confidence. Felt good. Still feels like I can move a lot faster, but gotta pay my dues. Right? Pay my dues. Gonna do 30 squats, 30 push-ups. I just go here, put my hands here, and I push back into the hammies. One foot in front of the other. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Push up. Go here, here. And this is supposed to be like real difficult or anything. But it might be. It's okay too. Back to the squat. I can even hold all the way up here. If I want to, I'm going to shove my hips back. This is a great stretch, and even the wood is actually kind of got my knees sort of stationary. I don't want to really like hang out in these positions too long. It's just movement pattern things. Got to go wider stance. And just whatever your mobility will allow. Like wider stance, I feel like a little more in my hips. So I got to be a little more careful. Kind of getting here. We just did a lot, right? We just did a lot of running. This just is not too much to ask, just do it. You know, just go and do it. I normally haven't really been doing this, but it's something I decided a couple days ago to really give a little bit more of a practice to. And it's just like, so when you're done, just move in a bunch of different directions. I'm already out here running. Now when someone says, hey, Smelly, do you stretch? I'll say, yes, motherfucker, I stretch. I know stretching is sometimes a complicated and heated topic. How to stretch, how should you stretch? Who the fuck knows? I just say, like, just get like movement in, just move around. I think it's probably your best bet. But this I could use if I needed to use this, if my knees bothered me, if I just want to try to squat down lower, try to get the butt to touch the ground. Just get all these tissues to open up and move around. Even just the act of just putting your hands over your head. Back to some push-ups. How many we did, like, I don't think matters too much. I just say 30. I just think it's a good number. This, by the way, push-ups in this way, or really any push-ups, does a lot of stretching to your toes, and I think it's really super beneficial for people that run. Look at the amount of work my foot's getting. Like, when is my foot bent like that for that period of time? There you go, and I can do a box squat if I wanted to. Just push the hips back. Put yourself in here. Again, we had Connor Harris on the podcast. He said a thing that he thinks athletes are missing is this kind of like almost negative shin angle. So you'd be back in here for a box squat. Why is that? Well, because sometimes when someone goes to throw, a baseball player from third over to first, they're in this wild ass position. Look at that negative shin angle. Negative shin angle. So you box squat, that's a great way to simulate some of those movements. There you go. That's the run. I gotta just smash one of the shovels over there and that'll be that. Strength is never weakness, weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later. All right, welcome to Smelly's Kitchen. We're gonna just heating up some food. I just got done with a run and I'm gonna go lift, but before I lift, I'm gonna do some red light therapy, some cold plunging, and then I'm gonna lift. But I'm also gonna eat first. So I made up some ground beef with marinara sauce and some cheese, and I'm just gonna reheat it. And there it is right there. Just gonna throw it in this pan over here. I know, I got these plastics and everybody goes crazy about all the plastics. Everything one step at a time, because I know everything from your spatula to the pans that you use to these things could all have micro plastics, or could all have things that are endocrine disruptors. I am aware. So everyone just chill out. So what I'm using for today is this Piedmontese 96% or 97%, whatever it is, 96% lean ground beef. There's about 25 grams of protein per serving, and there's about 3.5 grams of fat. So it ends up being, I think there's 4 servings in here, so I think it's around 12 grams of fat, and I think it's around 100 grams of protein. So that's pretty loaded with protein. That's pretty awesome. So that's what's in here. I also used some cheese. This is like grass-fed, from grass-fed dairy cows. And then also to show you some other combinations, I'll actually add probably a little bit more of this to the sauce, or to the meat. These are some different meat sauces. This is a toasted, or roasted garlic rather, and this is a vodka sauce, and I'll be adding that in. Just gonna turn this on real quick. Most of my meals most of the things that I cook up, or if I reheat things, I sometimes will just put a little bit of, people are always thinking about like oils and different things to cook with. I usually just cook with this. This is just beef tallow. I don't have to cook with this, but I found that sometimes when you reheat and you reheat with like an oil, it just makes it taste a little bit better. And when I say I use like a small amount, it's like I'm going to use that amount and boom. And it's like, that's nothing. Like that might be 3 grams of fat or something like that. So nothing too crazy. And let's just take you through the process. When I'm cooking this, there's really nothing to it. I also threw some, I was going to say marshmallows. I threw some mushrooms in here as well. So just let that oil, let that kind of heat up a little bit. There's really nothing to a lot of this stuff. I mean, I think we want to just kind of like overcomplicate everything all the time. And to be honest with you, like it just doesn't matter that much. I'm going to show you like a little side hack that I do here and there, where some of you are going to be like, what the hell is this guy doing? But fuck it. So I like to cook up kind of a good amount of food at one time. And I love Piedmontese, so I'm actually going to chop these up and throw them in there as well. Get a little crazy with it, right? Grab a spatula that's not going to cause too much cancer. Spread that out a little bit. And now we're just going to go right in here. Take our scissors. And I always just go right into here like this, because it's like kind of the easiest way to get this out of the package. And you get some of that, Piedmontese will say, it's not blood, it's protein. So that's what it is there. That's protein oozing out. And I'm just going to get some of that blood dripping in there. Or protein, I should say. And you just get some of this going. And your cooking can be just so easy. It doesn't have to be hard. I know, like, sometimes you probably look at what I do or watch what I do, and you're like, this is gross. I don't understand why he does this. But it ends up tasting awesome. It ends up working out really well. That's how I'm able to be consistent on the diet. Boom. And we just added a bunch of lean meat to already lean meat. So there we go. Kaboom. Now we'll just give it a little bit of a once over. Probably don't really need any more meat than that. That's probably good. But you can take a look at this grass-fed, grass-finished regenerative farming that they do at Piedmontese. You can see the stats there on the protein, the fat, all the calories there. And this is from goodlifeproteins.com. Goodlifeproteins.com also has, follow me into my freezer. If there's ice cream in here, oh, there is ice cream in there. It's not mine. So goodlifeproteins.com also has all this chicken right here. This is another brand that they started years ago, and I think they sold it Smart Chicken. A very wealthy, very smart family. They started that years ago, and then they were able to start Piedmontese kind of off of that. So we have a bunch of chicken. You can see all that there. I don't eat a ton of chicken, but my son will eat chicken. My wife will eat chicken. It makes up a lot of the meals that we have. So sometimes I'll join the family and eat some chicken stuff with them. This pork butt is from Piedmontese. This is from goodlifeproteins.com. Whoa. It's just a massive, it's huge. So they all got all kinds of stuff there. They got shrimp. We have salmon from them. I don't see it sitting here right now, but they have scallops. Go on their website, check out all the stuff they got. These are amazing. These are grass-fed, grass-finished ribeyes. They're absolutely incredible. And all the fat that's on these, like an interesting thing about Piedmontese beef that I feel is different than other beef, is I could eat this whole thing very easily. There's nothing like chewy and weird, and there's nothing like gnarly about it. I also got this lamb from them as well. I really like lamb quite a bit, so I'll cook up lamb maybe like once a week, every other week, something like that. I've been trying more often to eat some fish as well to get some omega-3s. So now that's been cooking for a little bit. We'll throw a little bit of this in there. We don't need a lot of marinara sauce. Just throw a little bit of both of them. Boom. You can see the steak that I threw in there is still pretty rare. And so what we'll do is we'll dump some salt on there, get some real salt. Yeah? Not too much, but get some salt on there. Comes out pretty quick sometimes, so you gotta be careful. There we go. And then we'll get a little cheese on there also. There's already some cheese in there, but I'll get some of this on there too. It's like the hardest thing is getting these things out of these packages. Whoops. Rip that down. Take her off. And then I just scissor it all. Right? That's what she said. A little cheese on top. That's probably good on the cheese. What do we say? That's good. Now we give it another stir. So we took this leftover meal and we added more nutrients to it. I added more fats to it through the cheese, also through the tallow, and I also added some flavor. I added some marinara, I added some salt. So we also added some sodium and things like that for kind of that replenishment going into my lifting in a little bit. And there we go. And I'll probably eat this. And in terms of carbs, if I have some potatoes left over, I can maybe eat some potatoes, but I don't think I do. So I think I'll just eat. I cooked up a bunch of potatoes, but my son has been smashing the crap out of potatoes lately, so I don't think I have any left. So I'll just choose to eat some fruit. I don't necessarily need carbohydrates, but it's great to have them, especially before going into a lifting session, because it's kind of glycolytic. So I'll just take a bowl over here. Boom. POV bowl from the cameraman. I'll just scoop some in here. Everything looks like it cooked up pretty good. Something you guys probably don't hear me talk about a lot, and I think I actually ran out of a bunch of them because I've been using it the last couple days a bunch, is our seasoning. We have amazing seasoning. This one right here is a Montreal. We have Montreal, we have taco seasoning, we have a pink Himalayan sea salt, and we have an Italian seasoning. And that's what this was made with. This was made with Italian seasoning. I also fortified this with some collagen, which I'll show you that in a second. I dumped some collagen powder in here. Very common for me to do with a lot of different meals. I also like this brand a lot. Plug in some stuff, Hardcore Carnivore. Great products. These are not like, they're not carnivore compliant. Like there's plants in here. You know what I mean? So like sometimes people get mad when they're like, why does it say carnivore? And it's not, it's just seasoning and they're delicious. So relax a little bit. So here is the collagen. And this collagen peptide, I just dump it on in. This is from Bubs. And Bubs is the collagen that's utilized in the steak shake and utilized in the total carnivore steak shake as well. We teamed up with our people over at Bubs because they have the best collagen. They got the best collagen peptides. But you can take this and you can throw this in. You could throw this in a soup. You could throw this in a stew. You could throw this in your coffee. You could put this in like a protein shake. You can put this in just about anything, and it may fluff up whatever you're eating. I also put this in rice sometimes. It's going to give it a little bit more volume, but it's not going to really change the flavor. It might change the flavor a tiny bit, so pay attention to that. Something I've been eating a lot of lately is oysters. I have these oysters. I also buy fresh oysters from time to time, and I also have these oysters. Oysters are high in DHA. And I think they're also high in zinc and copper. And then I've also been eating a bunch of mackerel lately as well, which is also high in omega-3s, high in DHA. And so just trying to check off all my boxes. Before I go digging into that food, let me show you over here. So over here, I got like a wide array of like supplements over here. But an interesting thing is that I don't even use these anymore. Ever since I got connected to David Herrera, and ever since I've been messing with the cold plunge and the red light and the sunlight and the grounding, it really discontinued the use of a lot of supplements. I wouldn't say I don't take any of them, because I still do take magnesium here and there, which I need to take now. So I'll grab a couple of these. This is magnesium glycinate. Actually, usually we'll take multiple forms of magnesium, but I have all this other stuff here, and I just decided, like, you know what? I think when I take one thing, it leads me to like make an adaptation somewhere else, and then take another thing, and then it ends up being. So how this happened is, over time, you know, I got advice here, I got advice there, I picked up things over here and over there, and before I know it, like, I'm obsessive compulsive, and then I just have like supplements everywhere. But I no longer really use any of these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get some blood work taken coming up, and see, like, is there really that big of a difference in my blood work? Part of the reason why I agreed to take a bunch of supplements years ago was in accordance to my blood work. I was like, you know what? If it works, if the supplements work, I just think of things so much differently now. I don't think that just because you took a vitamin or a mineral and now it shows up on your blood work as being like fixed, I don't think it's actually better. I think that you need like lifestyle over everything, in my opinion. So the supplements could potentially supplement yourself. It could be a bridge, but like, I was taking some of these things for years, and I was just like, after a while, I'm like, why? Like, why am I doing this? I have so many other healthy practices. I don't think I need any of this stuff. And so I guess we'll see. The verdict is out. And then over here, these are some of my snacks that I like to have. And I love Legendary Foods. I have an affiliate link with them. If you want to pick some up and you want to get a discount, use the code MarkBell if you want to check some of that out. These are my peeps over at Bubs. I love Bubs Collagen. I love their MCT oil powder. This is fantastic. This is a creamer that they made that will work really well in your drinks. It's MCT oil powder along with like a grass-fed butter, I think, or something like that. But this guy right here is what I'm most excited about. I really love Keto Bricks. And this is a chocolate peanut butter cup version, but this one right here is the first ever Steak Shake bar. First ever Steak Shake bar was made with these guys, Keto Brick. They've been making it for a while. They've sold thousands and thousands of these bars. This is Bell's Brownie Batter Steak Shake. And I love the size of the balls on this guy to make this product. Read the label there, 1,000 calories, 88 grams of fat. Like, you got to have some nuts to make a product like that. 38 grams of protein. I think there's around 13 grams of carbs, and there's 9 grams of fiber. The one thing I really like about this product over basically any other protein bar or any other protein product out there that's kind of in the snack dessert category, this one does not hurt your stomach. I could eat like 2 or 3 of these, which I don't advise because that's 2,000 or 3,000 calories, but I can eat a bunch of these and they don't hurt my stomach. Whereas sometimes with some of these other products, they can be a little sensitive to your belly. You can end up farting a lot. Speaking of farts, hey, oh, thanks. Sweet. Terry Blacks, eh?
Barbecue place.
What do they say? If the hat fits, wear it.
Yeah, see, I don't think same thing. Same thing, but different.
All right.
We got some legendary Pop Tarts over there. Mm-hmm. Blueberry flavor.
Mm-hmm. EMR Tech. And I have these other lights around it. This is a Fuji light from a company called Spurdy. And this is UVA, 75%, and like 20% or 25% UVB. UVB burns the skin, but UVB also is what's mainly in this guy, and UVB is responsible for vitamin D. But you need to start here and go to here and then go to there. So this type of light will do nothing to your skin in terms of skin damage. But it will prepare you to handle light like this. And this will help you to handle light like that. And if you want to just forget about all this and just not be confused, all you got to do is walk outside. But if you're getting sunlight midday, you could potentially burn. If it's midday, middle of summer, you could potentially burn. But if you're getting sun throughout the year and you're getting sun in the morning, maybe the first 2-3 hours in the morning, the sun is normally, I guess depending on where you live and altitude and so forth, it's normally not dangerous at all. It's normally going to be something that's going to prepare your skin to be able to handle the sun when it's heavier. And in the wintertime, when you go out midday, if it's really bright out, the sun under normal circumstances won't do shit to you because it's just not powerful enough. Again, sort of depends on where you live, but if you live here in the United States, that seems to be kind of the main cardinal rule. I've been messing around with red light therapy for a while. I used to utilize this guy here and there. I did not really end up feeling anything different from it, and I switched over to using something that was more high powered. And the only thing I can say that I'm feeling from this at the moment is like literally the heat that comes off of here. I do not necessarily feel better. I don't necessarily feel more mobile. I don't necessarily feel anything to really report. But I usually feel pretty good anyway. I don't have a lot of pain. I recover from my workouts pretty good. I do utilize performance enhancing drugs, so maybe I can't feel anything compared to that. But I just think it's important to share. I have been using this as a discipline, but I also haven't been using this as a discipline for that long. So I have probably only been using this for about a month with some good consistency. And normally I go in the cold plunge first, and then I stand in front of the red light afterwards. And any of these lights are lights that I usually use in the morning. I still go outside, I still get the sun. That's still always going to be way more important than any machinery or any sort of tech is to get the actual sun and to actually get outside. But I've been messing with this for a while, and if I end up noticing like it's promoting some sort of huge change in me, I will let you know. But for the moment, I do feel great. I do feel really good, but I don't know. I can't really tell you for sure that it's like, hey, this is like really changing my life. But for the moment, I dig it. I like it. I like the practice of it. The cold plunge, however, I would say that it's very difficult to do a cold plunge and not feel it, to not feel something from it. Like it's very cold. It freezes you for a little bit. It makes you numb. So to me, when I go in the cold plunge, on days when I don't go in the cold plunge and I come over here and I do some exercises in front of this thing, I'll do some squats onto here and stuff, my body's very stiff. But if I go in the cold water first and then come out of it, I'm in a like much more heightened state, and I like to move around a lot more. My body feels a lot better. So the cold plunge is something that I definitely feel something from in terms of like dopamine and all these different things. To me, the cold plunge just feels like a cup of coffee, kind of gets me fired up. I enjoy the discipline of it. I like the fact that it kind of sucks to go in there. It's kind of fun. Again, how effective it is, I don't know. I have one. I have access to it. So I just go in it almost every single day. And I just, anywhere from 90 seconds to about 3 minutes. So you can see over here where I got my cold plunge set. That's the questions everyone's always asking. I mess with it sometimes, but I just have found that like it seems to be plenty effective in the 50-degree-ish area and realm. So I don't mind using it this way. Some people make a huge deal about it. Some people make a huge deal about like the way that you breathe when you get in here and all that stuff. And I breathe differently. Sometimes I go in here and I'll just do nasal breathing. Other times when I go in here, I'll actually just work on trying to breathe through it. Almost like I'm getting body work done, or almost like I'm trying to do a stretch or trying to reach a new range of motion. When I'm trying to reach a new range of motion, I will go, and I'll do that a bunch until I'm able to. So the hardest thing I would say sometimes in getting in here is controlling your breath, at least for me. I'm not really trying to get in here and like not make any noise, although I think that is an interesting practice to try to go in here and to only breathe in and out of the nose. And I will practice that on occasion. But one of the things for me is like, how do I just relax in there the quickest? I don't really care that much about how much noise I'm making or what I sound like. If I'm making some noise, that's fine. But if I can calm myself within like 10, 15 seconds, that's usually a really good sign. I've also noticed that when using the plunge and using cold therapy in general, you feel like you're so much more resistant to it when you're tired and when you're overtrained. So sometimes I go to get in here and it almost feels, rather than feeling too cold, it feels like it's way too hot. It feels like it's like burning me, like it's like almost painful. And that's sometimes what it's like when I'm kind of in an overtrained state. So again, you don't need to spend a lot of time in here. A lot of times, one of the practices I'll use is I utilize some Wim Hof breathing. And Wim Hof has you basically breathe in and breathe out, kind of in a very cyclical, deep fashion. And then he has you do some breath holds and stuff like that. So I will mess with that for today, but usually I have it guided. Usually he's kind of guiding me through it on a YouTube link that I listen to. So here goes. So now I'll do like 20 breaths. So that was 20 breaths followed by a breath hold. Breath hold sometimes is like a minute. Sometimes I'm able to stay in here a little longer and do like 2 rounds of it. But I found that staying in here for too long is a little bit of a mistake. So anything over like 90 seconds to 3 minutes is a really good range. And once it gets to be over that, it just seems like it dysregulates your temperature for almost a whole day. And I don't know how good of an idea that is. Now it's time to get out and start getting warm. And some of the first things I'll do is I'll actually stay in here because feels pretty good on the knees. Do some of this range of motion here. Gets a good stretch in the feet and stuff like that too. And I'll get out here. And just be careful, like when you get out of cold. Sometimes you can't feel your body, you don't know what the hell's going on with it, so be a little cautious. But I'll come out here and I'll do some squats. I don't feel cold right now, even though I'm kind of shaking a little bit. I don't really feel it. It's like I just feel numb. I'm gonna get in front of the red light and just keep kind of moving. So I'll leave the hat on. Obviously, normally I don't have a hat, but I'll also turn this guy on. Make sure I don't drip on it. I think I'm okay. And this does have a little bit of a tanning effect. Be jacked and tan. So sometimes I'll just have it right there. Usually I'm naked, but I'll spare you guys. I'll sometimes put it down here. And now all these different lights are kind of beaming at me at one time. All these companies are going to switch to making these have multiple things in them. Just no one's really figured that out quite yet. So that technology is coming. But for now, we got some smelly science going on. And then my brother, he's always in that chair right there. And usually he's whacking off to me doing the red light, which I don't know why he's so aroused by it, but it's just something that really gets him. Something that really gets him going, I guess. It's exciting. So I usually just kind of stand here and like march and move around like an idiot. What this does, I'm not 1,000% sure. I have, looked into some of the science. I have some friends that shared some information with me, and that's how I kind of got to some of these things. But to be kind of honest, I don't really care. I don't really care that much about what it does. It feels good to me. Like the practice of the cold plunge alone feels good, and then the practice of coming out here and getting in some movement afterwards feels great. So I'll usually do a bunch of squats in front of this thing. This is a great way to start my day. Certain days when I don't have time for it, I don't have time for it. I try to just make time for it some other time. I try to move around so these lamps and lights don't fry me, because they can, especially this guy, can be pretty powerful. Sometimes I'll put it here and let it get me that way. But I kind of have like shoulders that sort of always hurt and stuff too, so it's like I can take a moment and I can move my body around in a bunch of different ranges. Move my shoulders around and get in some, I don't know, like calisthenics or whatever you want to call it. And just for safety purposes, I usually only have these run for just a few minutes. I'll do some like deadlifts on here. Trying to get some range of motion in the hammies. And then I also get to sun my butthole when I'm naked. So in Texas, you got to interview Liver King and Brigham.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A
Oh yeah, how was Zach?
Zach was great. He had a lot to say.
Well, he's normal, and like, he's really good with his words and shit too. He's a great guy. I love that guy. He's really funny. Did he tell you about his like music thing that his contest that he's in or whatever?
He didn't tell me about a contest.
Yeah, he's in like a contest. Kind of cool. In terms of like injury stuff, you've kind of used this on some injuries before. Have you ever noticed it do anything?
Never felt any different from it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's like a lot of research and literature about it.
Yeah, and people, yeah, that's what people say is they think it can help with like if you have a messed up elbow or back or something, you get in front of it, it's supposed to help, right?
Yeah, I did the Juve light on my balls for like 30 days straight to see if it raised my testosterone or did anything. I didn't feel any different. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell if it raised your testosterone
Yeah.
when you're already on testosterone.
Right.
But I was like, well, I might as well give it a shot. Pretty easy to do.
It's hard to tell because like, my understanding of this stuff is that it's supposed to do stuff for like your mitochondria. And it's like, well, how do you know that? And
It's a good gimmick if that's what it is.
I know, because there's like, how do you test and retest it and stuff like that, Human body is really complicated. I do believe that getting outside would help a lot of people, especially people that don't get outside that much. I think it could be really helpful. But then again, if you don't like going outside, it might not be that great. Some people hate going outside because they're going to get burnt from the sun, All right, that's good enough red light therapy for today. Back here and shut it off. Whoop. I think it's nice and toasty. It gets pretty warm in here, which makes it a lot easier to do the cold plunge. So it's nice that I'm able to have the cold plunge inside. I know other people have it outside, and sometimes it's like 30 degrees outside. Yeah, it's got to be rough. But this room actually gets pretty warm because the cold plunge will be running to try to make it cold, and that produces some heat, and that gets warm. And then I throw this guy on, and that makes the whole room warm, and it makes it way easier to do. All right, I'm going to change, and we're going to go lift some weights. All right, getting ready to hit up a workout, throwing a little hydration. We got these are our hydration packets. This one's a lemon, lime. Kaboom.
Some of the alcohol was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are pretty good too.
Take a couple 9 bullets for the road. Take 3 of these guys. These are our capsules.
Oh yeah, give me some of those.
Gonna mix up some chocolate. This is the way. Some chocolate steak shake. Gonna make a little Ninja Creamy ice cream thing, which I'll hork into here when I'm done. But let's get some ingredients going. I don't like to use milk because I don't digest milk great, so I will start with a vanilla base. So we'll go with this guy. I don't think a lot of people know this, but like a lot of good chocolates have like a little bit of a vanilla base to them to kind of give it like a, I don't know, this helps give it the chocolate an actually extra little pop. So use some of this.
What's funny is that's all milk.
What's that?
That's all milk.
Well, it's milk, but it's lactose free, and
So it's Fairlife milk.
What's that?
The Fairlife milk that they make is lactose free.
Yeah, I know, but this is like protein. This is straight protein. Like the milk from there, I think has like sugar in it, right? Yeah. Anyway, I like using these because this tastes a lot better than milk to me. So I dig that. And then I got, this is the way. Scooper this guy. Kaboom. So now we're already dealing with around 50 grams of protein. You can grab some collagen. Throw that in there too. I don't think I have any cottage cheese, but I usually throw cottage cheese in here too. These two will just thicken this guy up a little bit. Give it a little bit more volume. Hello.
Where are the ladies?
I have no idea.
Eddie's not here?
I don't think so.
They were supposed to wait for me.
Oh, I don't know where they went. Maybe you should call her. I don't know.
Because I'm selling the car to one of the ladies.
Oh, to Karen.
Karen, and
Yeah, they were all here, but I don't have any idea where they are. They're not actually here now.
are
But
they in the red light room?
no,
Okay.
I haven't seen them.
I'll put this down and call.
Okay. This in here. Kaboom. Whoop. And then one of the key ingredients. The key ingredients is one of these guys, chocolate hydration packet from Within You brand, because this guy is really dope with like flavor profile. So I'll probably just use maybe about like that much of it or so. Try that out. I'm gonna dump just a small amount of honey in here, just as like a little extra sweetener. Don't need a lot of that, but there you go. And I'll go back with that. I got honey all over me. I'm gonna go here and blend her up. There we go. Now we're just going to dump this in here. Whoa, real pressure cooker in there. And it got nice and thickened up. You dump that in there. And now we'll have something for later tonight. It takes like maybe 5 hours or so, 4 or 5 hours for this to fully get frozen in the freezer. And then you put it in the Ninja Creamy, and the Ninja Creamy just spins it a certain way to try to like basically turn it into kind of like an ice cream type thing. But yeah, I used a scoop of this, I used a scoop of that, and then I used some of that collagen. So you're looking at around 50 grams of protein, around 70 grams of protein, and then with some of this in there, probably getting closer to like 80 grams of protein. Gonna use this to kind of wash some of the rest of this out. Rinse it in there and get some of the rest of the protein that's in here. Can't let it all just go to waste in there. But people get all crazy about like recipes and stuff like that. But I don't think you really need any sort of real recipe. I think you can literally make this whatever way you want. You want to throw a banana in here. You want to throw your favorite protein powder in here. You want to make this with milk. You want to make it with water. You want to make it with almond milk, almond butter. I mean, you can just kind of put whatever the hell you want in here. As long as you put something in here and it freezes, that's really all that matters. And when you put it in a Ninja Creamy, it will sort of take care of itself. And then there's a little bit of like, the Ninja Creamy can be a little bit weird. So sometimes you might need to run it through one time, then you might need to pour like extra liquid on top of there to get the thing like kind of spinning again. So there we go. Chuck that in the freezer. There we go. Now we're out of here.
Also, I can't even break.
Got to get everything warmed up. Oh. Woo. Gotta get moving around. Kind of nice having access to machines. You can just kind of bounce from one to the other. Get yourself warmed up pretty quickly. Ooh. Woo! Feeling it now. Don't really need a lot of weight. Well, the seat's real high up. Ooh. shoulders. Just start right back over again. Throw something else into the mix here. Do some leg press. Because the legs don't move great. I need them to move a little bit better, so can use the weight from the leg press to push me into certain positions. So there's quite a bit of stiffness and pain when I get to about here. So I gotta hold on to here. And not overly force it too much. This is something I should probably try to do almost every day. Everything's all connected though. It's like my lower back is tight. And so my lower back, because my groin and my hamstrings are kind of tight, the lower back will come off the pad and it will round. And my lower back, lower back personally, doesn't have a great ability to round. And sort of because that's stuck, it doesn't allow anything else to really move. That feels sketchier than like a squat. Getting pushed into that position like that. My hips and my body's kind of... I mean, that's all we can go off is how you feel, you know? It doesn't matter what you do or what you take. It doesn't matter if you take steroids or protein powder. All we can do is have you report back to me, like, how the fuck do you feel? Barbecue is going to get you fast track to the JV squad. Now, I've never seen anybody fit the description of JV more than Paul Saladino.
You know what's great? Liver King. Liver King was fucking.
All we got to do, you know, when you're training, all you have to do is send a signal. So send a signal, send a message to your body, send a message to yourself that you're in there for the gains. You're trying to gain a little bit. So just throw a little bit extra weight on there. Make the set a little bit more difficult. Woo. Let's get that time under tension. Need that muscle tension. Burning.
Great song.
Let's see if I can sneak in 5 more reps or so. He digs in right here, full body weight. It goes from there all the way through here. And oh my God, it kills. But it does open everything up though. It does help a lot. But
Change that guy's life. Came in to work on you and you put him on a diet.
yeah, well now he also has 2. He was working for the Kings.
Yeah.
And now he has 2 of his own practices that are in different areas. That's the same thing with Jack Cruz. That's why I don't take any any offense. Like, I could help Jack Cruz more than he'll ever help me.
Yeah.
You know, I already know that. I know that to be true. I need a little bit more weight.
You can do some legs too.
Yeah? I'm going to do some squats on the belt squat in a minute. It was kind of cool the other day running with Thomas DeLauer, and Thomas looks amazing. Like, he's shredded. But it's kind of cool to have someone say, "Hey, nice calves." I thought that was kind of funny. That's all people care about is the calves. Not really, but when you do have calves, it is funny. People do tend to bring it up. And then usually a lot of people have good calves just because. Like, I've played all kinds of sports my whole life, so of course I got some calves going on. His calves he can't even show you because his pants will explode. Uh-huh. So what I'm going to try to do with this is Matt Wenning's belt squat. I really like this product a lot. This handle here is nice. You don't have to use it. You can go, go without it, but I like the assistance of it, especially for me to get really low. So for me to get really low, I like kind of hooking my hands on here, and it allows me to get some really good depth. Also like the fact that you can work some calves. Sneak that calf work in, baby. It's one of the best things you can do for foot pain, by the way, is to work your calves. Woo! Now that I'm going to start to do some shorter duration stuff, it's probably a good idea to start working on the legs again a little bit. Part of the reason I laid off them was because the frequency and the distance was kind of a lot, so it made sense to kind of lay off the legs, give them a break. But now that my runs should usually be an hour or less, like today was about 50 minutes, I can spend more time working on the legs again. I don't really care too much about like the size of my legs at this point, but it is a nice extra storage area for your metabolism and for the foods that we eat. So when you have bigger legs, when you got more mass built up on the legs, it's just more, it makes your everyday caloric expenditure a little higher when you have more muscle mass, no matter where you have it. But for me, it's been kind of easier to kind of put it on the butt, the hammies, and the legs, calves. I think it's critical to like learn how to breathe in these positions. So rather than like being tight right here and being like, Hup, rather than being and all red, really so you can practice a lot of nasal breathing. You'd be surprised how difficult it is. During the set, you may need to throw the principle away because you might be lifting such a weight that doesn't really allow you to lift unbraced. So therefore you might have to use, breathing in and out of your mouth somewhat, or in the nose, getting tight, and so on. But I found it to be really useful for me to really release a lot of air and release a lot of pressure. Something as simple as like picking this up in the morning. Your back's kind of tight. What do you have a tendency to naturally do? Naturally, you're going to go, ah. Like you're going to try to breathe and try to brace for it. But the second you bend down, and then you're kind of like here. You're like, fuck, man, if something's wrong or something's hurt. And just the way I've been looking at this more recently is like, what if everything we know is sort of backwards? We've seen that in a lot of cases. And what if everything we learned in the weight room maybe just isn't true in the way that we thought it was? Maybe you don't have to brace your back for a heavy lift. Maybe, especially when it comes to lighter weights, maybe they should be handled quite differently. That actually makes some sense. The same respect, but they should be treated maybe differently. And so this is unloaded. I don't have any weight in my hands. If I'm going to bend down and pick this thing up, why can't I go like this? Pick it up. Should be able to. And when something's really light, like this guy here, when this is light and I'm looking for a different stimulus, like I want more range of motion, rather than me going like this, rather than me doing that, which can be useful and can be great if this is 700 pounds or if this is 500 pounds. But what if that process of doing that over and over again is teaching me to kind of be like that all the time with everything? So when you got a lighter weight, or when you're doing something slightly different that you're looking for slightly different results from, let's say like a Jefferson curl, or even you're doing like an RDL, why can't you do it with less weight? And why can't you do it like this? Why not do both? Want to have some good ranges of motion and maybe lift out of like bad-ish situations with very light to no weight, maybe even just body weight. And then why not be able to rip up some heavy-ass weight when it's time to rip up heavy-ass weight in a controlled fashion where you're bracing yourself to the fullest? I think you should be able to express both. That's all we got for today. I'm sorry. That's all we got. All you got to see me do today was run, eat some food, do some red light, do some UVA, UVB, vitamin D light, as well as cold plunge. And finally, we wrapped her up with a little bit of lifting. Strength is never weakness, weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.